All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I give all praises, honor, and infinite glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Wacha, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace, safety, and salutation to the hopeful elect that's pushing this word truth, and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you, Akim. Want to do a listen to the Spirit by Yahweh Shai, what's going on out there in Iran, and I'm about to play this clip and bring some scriptures, and Lord willing, this lesson be edifying.
Oh my God.
The powerful Iranian strikes have shattered Dubai's image as a luxurious safe haven of glittering hotels and high-end resorts. So too have the thick plumes of smoke that choke the skies above the Qatari capital Doha, known for its opulence and calm. The Kingdom of Bahrain also wasn't spared. Neither was Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, or Oman, where tankers were struck just off its shores in the Strait of Hormuz, a vital global shipping route where 1/5 of the world's oil passes through. In all, dozens of people have been injured and at least 4 killed in the Iranian attacks on the Gulf that have largely grounded flights and shut down commerce in the region. Tehran's decision to fire volleys of missiles and drones at the group of countries that make up the Gulf has only upped the ante. Most countries here host large U.S. military bases, housing tens of thousands of American service members, including the headquarters of the Navy's Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, which was struck on Saturday. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has threatened his country's armed forces will, quote, crush the U.S. bases with force. And while most Iranian drones and missiles have been intercepted and no Gulf nation has fired back, the question now is, for how long? Fears of a sustained conflict expanding beyond Iran's borders have only grown following the killing of the supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. In Pakistan, pro-regime demonstrators attempted to storm the U.S. consulate in Karachi. At least 20 people were killed. Protests have also erupted in Iraq, where hundreds were pushed away from the Green Zone in Baghdad with water cannons just a short distance from the American embassy. Now, sources inside Iran tell CBS News the regime's apparent strategy of carrying out attacks on Gulf countries is likely part of a risky effort to try and shorten the war, since the ongoing missile and drone strikes could see Arab leaders try to pressure the U.S. and Israel to end their campaign early, Jerika, an apparent gamble which so far has not paid off.
And this is all biblical prophecy. This is documented in the scriptures, World War III, Matter of fact, let's get the scriptures. This is the book of Revelation. Yeah, here it is. Book of Revelation, chapter 11. In verse 14, and it reads, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe coming quickly. That's right, the second woe, meaning World War II. You had World War I that happened back in 1914 and ended in 1918. And you had World War II, which happened in 1940 and ended at 1945. And I had a lot of casualties, the World War I being mostly Edomites, and World War II being Edomites as well. But World War III is gonna be everybody, And World War III is on the horizon, man. It's gonna happen in our lifetime. The war to end all wars. The battle of Armageddon. The battle of Yehoshaphat, which means the Lord's judgment. It's biblical prophecy, This is going to happen. While Jake is over here playing around and, joking around about, Iran and all this, These nations are ready to make their move, man. You know, on Babylon the Great. Let's get the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter. Book of Joel, chapter 3, and verse 9, and it reads, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war." Matter of fact, let me start from the top slide here. Joel chapter 3, verse 9. "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles." And that's what we doing, man. You know, we're proclaiming, this among the Gentiles. We're telling you that World War III is going to be on the horizon, Biblical prophecy is speedily happening, Every single day you're hearing new things, man. Not too long ago, they just deleted the cartel leader, Mencho, whatever his name is, a lot of things starting to happen, a lot of judgment starting to happen on the earth, man. The Lord making his move. And us as the prophets, we're out here to tell you people about, matter of fact, let's jump to, I'm going to come back. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 28. Because this is the prophet's job, Book of Jeremiah, chapter 28, and verse 8, and it reads, "The prophets that had been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries, against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence." That's right. So that's what we're doing, man. We're watching for certain prophecies. We're watching. We're prophesying. Telling you people of war and of pestilence. And of evil, and that's what's coming, man. There's no peace. There's no everything coming back to normal. Nah, there's nothing but war and evil coming, man. Now let's go back to the book of Joel. This is the book of Joel, chapter 3 and 9. "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up." And that's what's going to happen. All the men of war are drawn near. A lot of those men out there in Iran, they're ready to go to war with Babylon the Great, America, man. They didn't forget what you did to their leader back in 2021, I believe. When, they killed the general or something like that of the army of Iran or something like that. Top general, when, they didn't forget about that, So those men out there, not just Iran, but Russia, North Korea, all these certain mighty men, they're ready to go to war with Babylon the Great, man. They're ready to take America's head off. They're ready to shoot their missiles, Verse 10, "Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong." Verse 11, "Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord." Verse 12, "Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat." The valley of Jehoshaphat, which means the Lord's judgment, over there in the so-called Middle East. "For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about." And that's what's going to happen, man. The Lord's going to judge these heathens, man. That's why they have nuclear. Matter of fact, let's get Isaiah chapter 9. Look for Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5, and it reads, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood." So back in the ancient world, our forefathers, they went to war with pruning hooks. They went to war with, what's the name? Axes, spears, sling stones, But it says, "But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, nuclear missiles," and that's going to be that's going to be the main That's gonna be the main thing that's gonna be used in this third world war. You know, nuclear missiles that's gonna be shut off from this side of the earth to that side of the earth in just about in approximately 30 minutes. You know, nuclear missiles are gonna be used. You know, like it's a video game, man. Just imagine you being there. You just sit on your phone, and then you hearing about nuclear missiles coming to Babylon the Great. Or missiles being shot off throughout the earth, man. You should want to be on the Lord's side. You shouldn't want to even be, on the side of these nations, that's about to get hit. But going back to what I was saying, but this will be a burning fuel of fire. That's what's coming, man. But a lot of Jake, they just too docile and too, invested in Babylon the Great, too, caught up with being a part of this society, man. That's why it behooves a lot of you Israelites to return back to Yahweh Shemel Shai, before the wrath of the Lord comes upon you, man. Because it's about to get deadly out here. It's about to get crazy out here, man. The Lord is about to show forth his judgment out here, man. Goes at Jeremiah 50. Let's get another one. Jeremiah 15:11, I believe. Oh, let me see. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 50. That's a good one right here. Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 3. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein, and they shall depart both man and beast. Matter of fact, let me jump down to verse verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause up to come against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. For then shall she be taken. Their arrows shall be their arrows, and this is representing the arrows is representing nuclear missiles, because that's how they were. Because an arrow is synonymous to a nuclear missile. So they described it for what they know, or the certain weapons they were using that time, but they didn't know anything about nuclear missiles, but they describe it as arrows, Their arrows shall be as of a mighty archer, Salakia. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. So, in essence, America, Babylon the Great is going to be destroyed, man. Jumping down to verse. Yeah, let's jump down to verse 14. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she has sinned against the Lord. Verse 15, shout against her round about. She had given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh by Shemel Shai. Take vengeance upon her as she had done, do unto her. And that's what's gonna happen, man. They're gonna take vengeance upon Babylon. For all the grievous things America, Babylon the Great has done to these nations, man. But ultimately, these nations, they're gonna get their judgment for what they did to us, the Israelites. But the Lord is gonna put the spirit in these nations to attack Babylon the Great. Let's get another one. Okay, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51. Okay, let's get Jeremiah 51. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 51. I'm going to start at the very top, and it reads, Thus said the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind, and will send unto Babylon fanners, that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifted himself up in the Bregenden, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. You know. Verse 6. Or verse 4, thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in their streets. For Yasharallah or Israel had not been forsaken, nor Judah of his power, of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Yasharallah. Verse 6, flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. You know, and it's not talking about get on an airplane and fleeing from America, Babylon the Great. No, that's not what it's saying. It's saying flee out in the midst of Babylon. Flee from the mindset. You know, spiritually flee from this society, man. You know, become a new creature in this truth, man. A new man. Verse 7, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. You know? Yeah, the nations are mad, man, you know? Because a lot of their women come over here and they want to be like the so-called Babylonian women, you know, have OnlyFans and, be part of certain adult content and all that stuff like that. You know, wear prerogative clothing to entice men, you know, so on and so forth. It says, verse 8, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Hell for her to take a bone for her pain, if so be she may be healed. Verse 9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reaching unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. That's right, man, and Babylon can be healed, you know, because this place is about to go out, man. It's going to be destroyed, you know. You know? And how do you escape this judgment, man? You know? That should be, that's why we should all have mercy on Yahweh outside, man, because we don't want to take part of this judgment. We don't want to be part of this judgment, man. You know? That's why, let me get a scripture. Was that Psalms 50? Psalms chapter 50. In verse 15. Because Psalms chapter 50 and verse 15 and it reads, and call upon me in a day of trouble. I will deliver thee and thou shalt glorify me. So we're going to call on the Lord in the day of trouble, man. Because not only the missile's going to hit, Jacob's trouble is going to hit, you know. Psalms chapter 15, verse 15, Salakia. And they call upon me in the day of trouble, I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. So we're going to glorify Yahweh Shema Shai, man. And we're going to call upon his name in the day of trouble, you know. You know. Let's get the book of Daniel. As a matter of fact, let's do this. Let me get the book of Job chapter 5. I believe Job 5. Let's see what Job, book of Job. I was the wrong one. Job chapter 5. Book of Job chapter 5 in verse 19, and reads, He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. Verse 20, in famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Let's read that again. Job chapter 5, verse 19. Let's get the full context. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. So there's going to be no evil that's going to touch us, man. The Lord is going to have a hedge of protection over the elect. Verse 20, in famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. A war was going on out there in Iran, especially when World War III goes full blown. The elect are going to be protected, you know, and the elect more than likely are going to be on this side, you know, and throughout the earth, you know, the elect are going to be protected, you know, by Yahweh Shema Shai, by our big brother Yahweh Shai. He's going to look after us, man. Verse 21, thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. So we're not afraid of World War III. We're not afraid of destruction that's coming, man. You know, of course we're going to be afraid of the nuclear missiles that's going to come near us, and you know, these certain events that's going to be happening. But the Lord is going to be with us, man. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. So, but a lot of these people are going, you know, when a lot of these people are here that's welling, when a lot of these people that's going to be welling in national teeth, you know, they're going to be crying out to false names, man, like Jesus Christ, Yeshua, Yehoshua. Well, we're going to know the true names of the Lord, you know, and we're not going to be afraid, you know. The Lord is going to protect his elect, you know. We're going to have that, that spark, you know, that certain spark to know how to move in them days, man. You know, and we're going to be laughing. We're going to know what's happening. We're going to know what's going on. A lot of people going to be looking at us like, why are they laughing? Because we have the blueprint. We know, we have the puzzle. You know, we figured out the puzzle, man. You know, a lot of people, they ain't going to be able to figure out the puzzle. They're going to be thinking like they're in the movie set, which is really which is going to be wrong. You know, they're going to realize that they're in a reality. You know, they're not going to be able to fathom what's happening right in front of them. You know. Verse 3:23, for thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. That's right, man. Let's get Psalms 91. And I'm going to end it on that. I'm not going to make this a long-winded lesson to spare it. Just quick, straight to the point. Book of Psalms, chapter 91, verse 1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And what's the secret place of the Most High? This word. There's knowledge, wisdom, understanding of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Verse 2, I will say of the Lord Yahweh, He is my refuge and my fortress, my power, in Him will I trust. That's right, man. So we're going to trust Yahweh Shemel Shai. You know, we ain't going to be like a lot of these jakes out here. A lot of these jakes out here that's going out there to war. And more than likely, a lot of these jakes out here, they're not going to war, you know. And it's like they're going to war, but the reason why they're joining the army, you know, is for benefits, man. You know, Jake, you know, and to be honest with you, Jake, when it comes to Jake, he you know, when it comes to Jake ain't with all that, you know, going to war, fighting and stuff like that. Mostly a lot of these Edomites are, you know, a lot of these, you know, prideful Edomites, you know, that proud, you know, serve their country and, you know, whatever the case is. A lot of them, they're ready to go to war, man. A lot of Jakes, they just want to get that money, you know. Jake wanted to just get that Hellcat. You know, he want to get that college loan. You know, he want to get that loan money. You know, he want to pay down, he want to be able to pay his college tuition. Those are benefits that, you know, you get joining the army, man. That's what Jake Jeff joins the army. But ultimately, man, it's going to all ultimately lead to him being World War III. And a lot of you Israelites are going to be in World War III, man. A lot of you Jakes out there are going to be out there serving for this double Esau Edom, so-called white man. Verse 2, I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my power, in Him will I trust. We're going to trust Yahweh Shemel Shai. Verse 3, surely He should deliver thee from the snare of the fowler. You know, the snare of the fowler. Who's that? Esau Edom, you know. And his weapons, man. Surely He should deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. Verse 4, He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shall thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. You know, so this word and this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of Yahweh Shemel Shai, it's going to be our protection, man, you know. Matter of fact, I got my sword right here. Let me get this. That's the spirit that I got my sword on me. Let's get the book of Isaiah. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 33 and verse 6, and it reads, "In wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai is His treasure." That's right, wisdom, knowledge, understanding of Yahweh Shemel Shai. It's going to help us, it's going to protect us in these times to come. It's going to be the main top priority. It's going to be something that's going to be, it's going to be more worth than gold, man. You know, being a man of the Lord and you have the knowledge with understanding that you have, you're going to be like, an angel sent, you know, coming down from heaven, man. You know, the knowledge, wisdom, understanding of Yahweh Shemel Shai. It's going to protect us in the times to come. Just to line it up with Psalms 91 verse 4. Going back to Psalms chapter 91 verse 4, He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shall thy trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Verse 5, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that fly by day. You know, the nuclear missiles that's going to hit America, Babylon the Great. You know, that's going to hit the shores of America. The Lord is going to deliver His elect, you know. You know, that scripture says the Lord shall gather his chosen ones from the four wings of the heaven, you know, roughly paraphrasing. The Lord's going to gather His elect, man. You know, from the arrows, that the nuclear missiles that's going to destroy this society, man. It's going to destroy America, Babylon the Great. Verse 6, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Verse 7, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. You know, so a lot of people are going to be, be deleted. A lot of people are going to be deleted, you know, from your left side, from your right side, from way down there, from way down the block, from everywhere around you. Is going to be a lot of deletion, man. A lot of people are going to be deleted, you know. And we have to be prepared to see these things, man. Verse 8, only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. That's right, man. The 2/3 of our people. That's what we got to see, And you want to be on the Lord's good side, man, You don't want to be on the side of those that's going to receive, death. Verse 10, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways, man. It says, it's like in verse 12, it says, for they shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion, and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he had known my name. Verse 15, he shall call upon me, Slakia. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. Verse 16, for life long will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. So we're going to call on the names of Yahweh Shemel Shai, in the times of trouble, man. In the times of nuclear missiles, in the time of Jacob's trouble, and the Lord's going to deliver us, and we're going to receive everlasting salvation, But I hope pray that the listeners are edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and the glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Kakwadash, the wonders apostles and elders, great millstone, to the next time. Shalom.